Thank you so much for attending tonight's Community Connect with our board member, Dr. Tiffany Hogan. I want to thank you so much for attending tonight. And I just wanted to let you know that, as I mentioned in the introduction, you do have access to the Q&A chat. So if you have something you wanted to ask a question about, you're free to use the Q&A portion of the Zoom meeting in order to ask your question. And also, you can ask your questions at the end of the meeting. We're going to be monitoring the chat, but we will not be answering any questions until the end at the Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. And we will also be answering questions at the end. And we will look at the questions first based upon what was posted in the thought exchange. And then from there, if we have additional time, we will answer your questions that you've put in the chat. But also, if we do not have enough time tonight to answer your questions, we will post everything. We will answer your question and we will post them online. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Dr. Tiffany Hogan.
Thank you. I hope everyone can hear me. I think my mic is on. So thank you so much for everyone being here. This is my inaugural District 5 Community Connect. And for those of you who don't know me, I am Tiffany Hogan, your District 5 DeKalb County School Board member. And I will say it is truly an honor to serve you. And I really appreciate all of you who are trusting in me to represent you on the DeKalb County School Board. To make the most of our hour, because we only have 1 hour together, we're going to go ahead and dive right in. And we're going to start with Dr. Horton. So I'm pleased that Dr. Horton and his team are joining us this evening. They are very knowledgeable and they're going to give us great information. They'll share with you some important data about District 5. And at the end, of course, you'll have questions. We'll address some of the questions that you submitted and hopefully have time for additional questions. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Horton to do some introductions. Thank you.
Yes. Good evening, Dr. Hogan. Great to see you again.
Yes.
We are working hard here in DeKalb County School District, as all of us are, our students, staff, teachers, everyone, our board members. But I just wanted to say hello to our district team and families. We are excited to be here to talk to you. And under the new leadership of Dr. Hogan, there's big things in the future. The sky's the limit. We have some huge plans for your community, and I'm not going to hold a lot of time because we don't have a lot of it, and I want to be sure that that our team, we're going to have them come off the mics. If you are a chief on our team, please introduce yourself and tell them what department you're over.
Good afternoon, Dr. Candace Alexander. I am the Chief of Accountability and Research. Welcome.
Good afternoon, I'm Dr. Priscilla. Good afternoon, I'm Dr. Priscilla Weaver, Chief of Access and Opportunity. Welcome this evening.
Good afternoon,
I'm Tisha Town, Chief of Wraparound Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Elijah Palmer, the Chief of Staff.
Good afternoon. My name is Kermit Belcher. I'm the Chief Information Officer.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Byron Schuneman. I'm the Chief Financial Officer.
Good evening, Eric Hilton, Chief Legal Officer.
Good evening, Stacy Stepney, Chief Academic Officer.
Good evening, Dr. Williamson, Chief of Community Engagement and Innovative Partnerships.
Good evening, Antoine Brown, Deputy Chief Operating Officer, standing in for Eric Hofstetter, Chief Operating Officer.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Norman Sauce. I serve the district as Chief of Student Services. Pleasure to be here with everyone.
All right. Seems like we have everyone. We have up first, we're going to go right into our presentations. And I think my agenda, who's on deck first, Ms. Arrington?
Dr. Hogan is with her introduction.
Oh, all right, Doc.
It's back to
you.
me, back to me. So I just want to take a brief moment. I know some of you, quite a few you know who I am. However, some of you may not. And so I just wanted to take a moment just to make sure that you know who I am. First of all, I am a longtime resident of DeKalb County and a proud graduate of DeKalb County Schools. And I can say that I am very deeply committed to our community and doing what's in the best interest of our students. My journey came full circle when I had the privilege of teaching at several of our high schools, including our very own MLK, which is in District 5. And I probably have a bunch of connections to all schools in District 5 since I've taught in DeKalb County schools. So I'm really excited about that. So throughout my years in education, I've of course had many opportunities to serve in various roles, but I will say without a doubt that my most favorite role, or the one that I hold closely to my heart, is my work that I did within schools as a school-based administrator, as well as a classroom science teacher. And so I am very passionate about schools and our children. And I just want you to know that about me, that whatever decision that I make, it is always going to be within the best interest of our students. Next slide. So for those of you who kind of followed my campaign, one of my main things that I always ask people, or I told people about me, and then I asked you, what are your top 5 for District 5? And so here you have a list of my top 5 for District 5, which of course always putting students first, supporting those individuals who directly support our students. Also, I'm really big on literacy and making sure that our students are very, not just proficient in reading, but they can go above and beyond just being proficient. And of course, you know, I have to put my school administrator hat on. I have to always promote safety and security for our students, which is extremely important. And then as your school board member, I want you to hold me accountable for doing what I said I was going to do. And as, of course, holding everyone else accountable as well. And so what I realized, or I didn't realize, I made my top 5 for District 5, and I had not looked at the strategic plan. And so the strategic plan, if I'm correct, this is a new strategic plan for the next 5 years, and it started last year in 2024. Well, guess what? A lot of my top 5 align with the strategic plan. And so you can kind of take a brief look at our strategic plan here, which is our guidepost for the school district. But here are the goals that are listed, and you can kind of delve more into it as you go, if you go to our website and take a look at it. And also the monthly board meetings. Dr. Horton and his team, someone usually gives you an update of where we are within our strategic plan. Next slide. So to help you further know what I'm about, I just want to share some of my core beliefs about education and learning. Okay, so first of all, student learning. I believe that every student possesses unique gifts, talents, and strengths. Okay, that is a given. Even though sometimes as a parent, as an educator, you may say, "Oh, I'm not seeing exactly where their strength or talent or gift is," but always know that it's there. Second, I'm a firm believer in the success of our student is built around the strong relationships that we have with our parents and our community. And so remember, it takes a village. So we all have to come together and work in order to ensure that our children are successful in everything that they do. And last but not least, I'm a firm believer in equity and access. I'm committed to ensuring that every student has the right to a high-quality education within a safe and supportive learning environment. Again, I'm a product of DeKalb County Schools, and so I want all DeKalb County students to receive the same high-quality education that I received as I was growing up. Next slide. And so, last slide here, what ways can I actually engage, or ways that I'm engaging with the community? So some of you may be familiar with this, and I wish I could drop the link in the chat box, but I do send out, after our monthly board meeting, a District 5 newsletter that's specific to District 5. Now, our district does a fabulous job with the board newsletter. This one is just a little bit more detailed as far as District 5 is concerned. So please make sure you check it out and subscribe. Also, I will engage throughout my 4 years with virtual and in-person meetings. So I look forward to having in-person meetings at the beginning of next school year. We'll set those up, and then we'll have everything on schedule. And then, of course, you'll see me at community events, school events, a little bit of everywhere. So if you see me out there, you're more than welcome to come up and introduce yourself and let me know that I'm your representative. So I would love to meet you. If you need to reach me, please use the email address here. You can also follow me on social media that's listed here. Just keep in mind that as a board member, when you do email me, if it's something that is specific to the operations of a school, please make sure you reach out to the school first in the administration. So, because you don't want me to deal with the day-to-day. I will have to eventually forward your email to the appropriate person, probably Dr. Horton, or one of his staff will have to handle it. So just keep that in mind when you do send emails that are very specific to school administration. So I think that's pretty much it for me. I don't want to take any more time. Again, thank you. And then I'll come back at the end to close it out. So next, I'm going to turn it over to
Dr. Alexander.
Dr. Alexander, thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dr. Hogan, and good afternoon again, everyone, and thank you for being here. Tonight, we're spotlighting the schools that make up the District 5, and that includes 4 high schools: Arabian Mountain, Martin Luther King Junior High School, Miller Grove High School in Southwest DeKalb, and their feeder middle and elementary schools. Each school in this cluster plays a vital role in the academic and social development of our scholars. So what you're going to see in the following slides is a snapshot of where we are academically, behaviorally, and in terms of attendance, and where we're headed. Let's begin with the attendance data.
Dr. Alexander, the Chief of Staff Division is next with Public Safety. You're at the end.
Well, thank you very much. I shall move to the end.
Well, good evening, community members, Dr. Hogan, Superintendent Horton, and colleagues. My name is Elijah Palmer, and I serve as the Chief of Staff of the DeKalb County School District. So public safety is one of 5 departments that fall underneath the Chief of Staff Division. So I'll share some objectives of public safety, some personnel that's in the schools, and I'll share some data from our Evolved Weapons Detector System, and then our Strategic Crisis Alert Badge that we invested in 2023. So the objectives of Public Safety Department, we want to make sure that all our students feel protected. There's our students and our staff from threats such as violence, intruders, or emergencies. We want to be able to reduce the disciplinary incidents through proactive monitoring and interventions. And we want to make sure that we foster a climate of trust and positive relationship between student and safety personnel. We want to ensure compliance with the laws, our district policy, and emergency response protocol. And then later you'll hear about the ways in which our Chief of Wraparound is going to speak to, the mentorship, restorative practices, and how we all play a role in a collaborative effort in ensuring that our students feel safe. Next slide, please. So safety personnel in the DeKalb County School Districts, the support that's provided for our high schools. There's 2 school resource officers at our high schools, and there are 4 campus supervisors. And right now, I would say we have about 95% of our 4 campus supervisors at our high school, and then I would say about 85%. There's still a few high schools that does not have 2 school resource officers, but MLK and Arabia Mountain are 2 that just received their second SRO within the past 2 weeks. Our middle school support, they have 1 school resource officer in their school building, and they also have 3 campus supervisors that supports their day-to-day operations around safety for the schools. And something that we were excited about this school year, for the first time ever in our district, all 76 of our elementary schools have elementary security associates. That's the first line of defense when you come into our school building, that assist with helping students into the building off the school buses, that's walking around the parameters of the exterior of the building to ensure that weapons aren't hidden, and just being that communication person who can reach out to public safety in cases of crisis or emergencies. Next slide. So now I want to talk to you really quick about Evolve, and that's our weapons detective system that we invested in, and it's in all of our middle and our high schools, and it's really meant to deter students from bringing weapons and other dangerous objects into the school building. So if you look to my far left, when you see the data from school year 22-23, before we invested in Evolve, the number of handguns and the number of weapons that were brought or attempted to be brought into the school. In year 1 of when we made the investment in our Evolve system, that number of handguns decreased from 22 in school year 22-23 to 4 handguns in 23-24, 1 year of implementation. And those weapons decreased from 105 to 31. So once again, the objective of our Evolve's weapon detector is really to deter students, to know that we're taking cautionary measures before students are coming into school, so that all of our students can feel safe and they can focus on their academics once they're coming to the school building. So now this school year, when you talk about the number of handguns that were found, so I wanted to be careful with how I worded this. So there were 10 total guns that were captured on our campus, but there were only 3 that they attempted to bring in through the Evolve's weapon detectors. The other 7, we were able to, students alerted their administrative staff, and we caught them before they entered the building. We had 3 where staff brought weapons onto our campus, whether it was in their car, and we were able to capture it that way. And then there was 1 student that attempted to bring it in through a side door. So I wanted to just highlight once again, there were actually 3 that attempted to come in through our weapons detector. So we've decreased that number from 4 to 3 this school year, but I just wanted to just be explicit on the total number of 10. And then we decreased our total weapons from 31 last school year and right now to 29. And I know we have another 3 weeks of school that can potentially add to this data, but I want to show that Evolve is really working in our school district overall, and they're in middle and high schools as of now. And I'll be speaking with our chief of public safety, Chief Whaley, to see if at some point in time we're going to make that investment for all of our elementary schools. Next slide. Our Strategic Crisis Alert badge, and that's used to discreetly request any type of assistance during an emergency, and it comes to the exact location of the school building, whether it's a fight that's happening or some type of medical emergency. The traditional way of communicating, we used to use the intercom system where teacher would have to call the front office and they'd have to call public safety. But with our crisis alert badge, that every staff in our district, including substitute teachers, we have handy, and we can alert it, and help is coming right away. So it was a huge investment in our district. If you look at the data from year 1 of the investment and implementation, the staff alerts just anytime, whether it's a teacher, a custodian, administrator, when they alerted it for assistance, there was 2,504 total of year 1. When you talk about the level 3 lockdowns, full level lockdowns, where there was maybe things happening outside of the school, we wanted to ensure safety of all of our scholars. There were 315 times where the strategic badge went off. And sometimes we use it for our drills when we're doing lockdown drills, such as tornadoes, anything dealing with safety. We use our strategics badge. That was 53 times. And then our tornado drills that happened across the district, it was only 6 for year 1. And then finally, severe weather drills, that were 12 alerts. But now you look to this year 2 of implementation, those numbers decreased drastically. Staff alerts went from over 2,500 to a little over 1,300. For level 3 lockdowns decreased from 315 to 63. And then just using the strategic alert for drills, it decreased from 53 to 14. And then our tornado drills went from 6 to 1. And finally, our severe weather drills decreased from 12 to 1. And there was a lot, I would say, of educating our staff on when to use it. I think year 1, they wanted to alert it for every single thing because, they just wanted that assistance whenever things occurred. But just as after principals, had meetings with their staff and went over the expectation, those numbers were able to be decreased drastically. But we just wanted to make an intentional effort on ensuring safety for our student and staff across the district. So I didn't have much time. I just wanted to give you a high-level update on some of the personnel that we provide in the district as far as safety and how we're using best practices to adopt technology to assist with safety as well. And I know there were some questions shared, and I'm going to pass it on to our next speaker so that we can get to the Q&A at the end, and I'll take those questions then. So thank you.
Good evening, and thank you again, Chief Palmer, for passing it to me. Dr. Hogan, it is a pleasure to bring an update this evening from the Division of Curriculum and Instruction. As we transition to the next slide, I want to lift that our work is certainly aligned to Board Member Hogan's beliefs that she stated at the very beginning and her top 5 for District 5. And we are centered, all of our work is centered on teaching and learning and what we're doing for our students. And I would like for you to hone in on a few symbols on this particular slide. When our superintendent, Dr. Horton, joined us last year, he took a laser focus and said, you know what, we want to make sure we are offering the programs that our students, our scholars want and need, not just what we want as adults. And so last year we rolled up our sleeves and we looked at our intensive offerings, and we committed to our stakeholder groups that our summer learning programs would be centered around our students, that we would focus on providing intentional targeted support throughout the summer. We want to make sure that our students continue to learn, that we address potential learning gaps, but also give students an opportunity to have what we refer to as a meaningful summer learning experience. So parents, we entered the summer as a partner with you. We are pleased to share that this summer we did have miracles in action, this upcoming summer as we prepare. And I say that because under Dr. Horton's leadership, last year we saw an increase in the number of applications, but this year we rocked it. We have received 7,500 applications for our summer programs. And when you look at the slide, you can see some of our programs listed there. And those are what we refer to as district-wide programs. So I just want to highlight the 4 right now with the most interest. Our Scholars Academy, we received 2,571 applications, and this is in partnership with Champion Dillard in Schools and Leadership. Parents, you hear us talk about testing and the students taking MAP. Well, it's really important that we're not just giving the assessment for the sake of the assessment. We're looking at that data to see what are the skills that our students need. So those reports that come home to you, Dr. Horton and the team, we roll up our sleeves and look at that same data so we can plan to provide additional support because we want our learners to continue to grow in the summer. So the Scholars Academy will focus on literacy and numeracy skills. That's aligned to our strategic plan, but also it will help them with some interest. We don't want them just to sit day to day and say, oh, mom, dad, whoever, I have to go to summer school just for math and reading. No. So we're approaching this through thematic learning. So we give students the opportunity, for example, to talk about the food desert, but we are creatively embedding all of those standards so that the students can learn in a relevant situation, one that they can identify with. So next one is the Cosmic Camp, 406. This is one that's pretty new for us, and it is hosted by Fernbank Science Center. Marine Mavericks and the Ultimate AquaQuest Adventure. This is in partnership with the Georgia Aquarium. We had 780 students and their families to apply. And then we have the Title I Summer Literacy Camp. The Scholars Academy focuses on students in grades 3 through 8, but we want to do something for our learners, period. So we have the Title I Literacy Summer Camp that is K through 2. And so we're offering the opportunity for them to hone their skills. We all are talking about literacy. And so our little people will come, their families will be invited, and we call it a camp experience. So they have fun as they read. We ask them to engage with their families when they get home in this reading experience. So I would like to just commit to you that this impact for all of us will be to make sure that our students receive academic, social, and emotional support as they continue to grow over the summer. Next slide. Dr. Hogan made some requests, and I got tickled because I said, thank you for this opportunity to share about the portrait of a graduate. This is also connected to all of our work, every chief on this call. We're all committed to making sure that as our students graduate, this is what we commit to you as families. We want them to be able to have these skills, these acquired and applied skills, and so that they become what we call reflective and resilient learners, globally engaged citizens, creative and dynamic learners, effective collaborators, and effective communicators. So I want to highlight something about this. Districts do strategic plans and they mean nothing. They sit on the shelf. Not in our district, not with Dr. Devon Q. Horton. Every month we're meeting with him to talk about our miracles. And he wants to know, what's it aligned to? And so I'm sharing with you, there was a question that Dr. Hogan received. And the question talked about, what are we doing to enrich that environment for high school students to make sure that we're bringing in learning and technology? So I wanted to lift two of our goals that are extended from two of our priorities lifted from the goal. 1.4 talks about academic programs and career pathways. This is where that relevant life skill opportunity happens. Then we talk about the digital literacy skills. We want students to know more than we know when it comes to how do you use technology. So our teachers are embedding technology in the day-to-day. And we're also introducing something. Many of your students may have an opportunity already this year to show this. Next slide. But our students will be engaged in this process, and how they will show us that they have acquired these skills and they're able to apply them. We are offering what we refer to as the Student Success Skills Backpack. So our students in grades K through 12 will have an opportunity to say, I'm a collaborator, I'm an effective communicator, and let me show you why. And so this is just a slide to show you that we truly are immersed in our guiding plan, the strategic plan. We truly are being monitored through our miracles, and we are committed to making sure students are first in all of our educational decisions. So we look forward to our continued partnership. Thank you very much, Dr. Hogan. And I will shift now to the next area. I think our chief will be Dr. Kisha Towns.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dr. Hogan, Dr. Horton, and if there are other members of the Board of Education, good evening to our parents, our students, staff, and families. So I want to just share, Dr. Hogan wanted me to speak about wraparound services in mental health and well-being. And so one of the things that once we did a survey to determine what should be included in the strategic plan and what should be our goals that were important to our community, of the 6 areas, mental health rose to the top for several of our stakeholders, including students, staff, parents who may be employees, and other community members. And so it is very important that we ensure that our students are able to come to a safe, positive, and orderly learning environment, and that we provide holistically supports for our students. And so I do want to share with you, and it just dawned on me earlier, how many staff members we have in DeKalb County School District that are there to assist students. And so when we start to look at personnel, we have 667 personnel that can help with the well-being of our students as well as our staff. And so the titles that you see in Black, those were added last year. And I want to thank Dr. Horton and the Board of Education for allowing us to hire staff, and they are more specific and intentional in doing the work in the district to support our students as it relates to mental health and wellness. And those include our 7 mental health coordinators, 6 mental health specialists, 45 FACE advocates, and our FACE advocates, they have a small cohort of students, up to 12 students, and they work directly with them to advocate for the student. And they join the families, the school, and the student together. We know that we cannot work apart from our students' families. And so we need to make sure that we are working in an effort to support the student so they can eventually graduate and move on to post-secondary options. So if you take a look at those members of the staff that we have available, it's a variety of staff members from various divisions that can certainly help our students, not only as it relates to mental health and well-being, but also what do you want to do as you move forward? We do understand that when students know that they have options, then they tend to be successful and more motivated. Their behaviors and their behavior expectations are positive, and they know where they're going. So we want to make sure our students know that we are here to support them. That is several trusted adults in the building and even at the district level to support them being successful. Next slide. As far as professional development is concerned, and we may ask, well, how are we preparing our staff to help and support our students and families? So this is certainly not an exhaustive list of professional development that we have available, but these are some that rise to the top: youth mental health first aid, Connections Matter, which is child advocacy and child abuse prevention, our restorative practices foundation and restorative conferences. And one of the things I will say is this has been most helpful for our students, because we know that as children, they're growing and they're learning how to advocate for themselves. They're learning how to build relationships, how to resolve conflicts in a nonviolent manner, but sometimes they still make mistakes. And so we want to return them back into the school community as a whole person, understanding how their actions impacted others and what we can do differently the next time so we can have a positive result. So we have professional development, and we've trained over 300 staff members in restorative practices. Also verbal de-escalation training. And this is to allow our staff to verbally assist students, sometimes when they're dysregulated, but also we as adults oftentimes need to understand that there is a way that we speak to children. And I oftentimes say they're children, but they're not your children. So some of the tone, some of the language that is used that we may use with our own children as adults and as professionals in a building, right? We have to display and model what we expect. And so that verbal de-escalation training is for adults to give directives to students verbally, and that's to minimize any physical interactions that may take place. We want to make sure we're communicating correctly with that student and making sure that they understand what the behavior expectations are. And we are continuing to train staff, and we will train up to 70 staff members this summer. And we do also train in verbal de-escalation and CPI in the Division of Student Services as it relates to our special education teachers. And then we have positive behavioral interventions and supports. And this is, these are just best practices where we have incentives for the students based on, great behavior expectations, as well as ensuring that we're looking at data to determine how we need to move forward and solve problems in the schools. Also, making sure teachers feel valued in the building, teacher efficacy. They have a strong leadership team where they do come back and meet bi-weekly to talk about, are there any challenges that we're having as a support team when we're looking at behavior, when we're looking at attendance, when we're looking at grades, when we're looking at the mental health and well-being of students. So we're looking at that whole child. And then we have trauma-informed classrooms. Oftentimes, our students are suffering from what we call complex trauma. Not only are they unhoused, but there may be some economic issues. There may be food insecurities. There may be clothing insecurities. There may be some abuse that has taken place in the past. And so we want to make sure we're training our teachers to identify those behaviors so we can support the students. And then also home visitations. Oftentimes we will look at students, and sometimes we may assume that we know things about those students that we may not know. And we can't only control the school environment, but we can also go to the home and see what is actually happening with that student to better hone in on how we can provide supports for students. So this whole professional development is for the betterment of the student, and we're being very intentional in ensuring that our staff members have the tools that they need to support our students and staff. Next slide. And then we have several programs. We have Second Step Social Emotional Learning Curriculum that provides modules for our students that is aligned to our Code of Student Conduct and our behavioral expectations for students. Leader in Me framework. We have Disconnect to Reconnect, which is our cell phone campaign. And as you may be aware, there is a bill that the governor may sign, I believe, and I think the crossover is July 1 for banning cell phones in school for K-8. So we've already gotten ahead of that, and we piloted a pouch program and a cell phone locker program, and it's been very helpful in decreasing physical interactions that students are having. In addition, students are not getting in as much trouble as it relates to those cell phones. And I will share with you that in relation to the number of suspensions that we have, one of the things that has contributed to having 5,000 less out of school suspension is having this initiative, the Disconnect to Reconnect. So we are very proud of our students and parents who have joined in the effort to make sure students are engaged in learning and in reducing distractions within the classroom. We have Sources of Strength suicide prevention programs, human trafficking prevention programs. We have bullying awareness prevention programs, as well as we have additional 36 school-based mental health programs throughout the district. We have My Brother's Keeper, Our Sister's Keeper, which is a mentoring program specific to males and females. And that's a wonderful program because our students do need trusted adults in the building that they can come to when they need assistance. And then we have Check and Connect. That's that student engagement support to ensure that students know where they are as it relates to moving forward in post-secondary options, and just if they are at risk of not graduating, that support is there. Next slide. And I wanted to be specific to your district, Dr. Hogan, so you will know all the wonderful things that are occurring in District 5. So with the Disconnect to Reconnect initiative, Chapel Hill Middle School, Lithonia Middle School, Salem Middle School, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. High School, they are partaking in that initiative. Also, you have after-school care programs, and those schools are listed: All Good, Bob Mathis, Bowie, Browns Mill, Canby Lane, Chapel Hill, Flat Rock, Murphy Candler, and Narvie Harris. And that is supporting that extended learning beyond the day. And we have safe centers. So we have a safe center at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. High School where parents and families can come in and they can receive supports there, food, clothing. And then we have a Zen Den if students need to relax or decompress. That's available at the safe centers. And we have Lithonia High School, which we'll be bringing on in the fall. And then we have safe spaces. They may not be as large as safe centers with the Zen Den and food pantries and clothing closets, but it's a safe space where students may come and they can decompress and if they're dysregulated, they can speak with someone, a social worker liaison. And that is in Arabia Mountain, Browns Mill, Chapel Hill Middle School, E.L. Bowie Elementary School, Flat Rock, Miller Grove High School, Salem Middle School, Stoneview Elementary School. And then we also have outdoor classrooms at Bowie, Farrington, and Murphy Candler. And a lot of these were funded by a grant that we received from the city of Stonecrest. And so we're very thankful for that donation. Next slide. We have student success centers. We have one at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. High School. Again, this is one of our centers to help with post-secondary options, making sure students transition successfully from high school to a post-secondary option. And then Dr. Hogan, I think you are one of the districts with one of the most, one of the highest numbers of PBIS schools. And so you have 10 PBIS schools and they do very well. Bob Mathis, Browns Mill, Chapel Hill, Farrington, Murphy Candler, Stoneview, Chapel Hill Middle School, Salem Middle School, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. High School, and Miller Grove High School. And then lastly, certainly but not least, you have a grocery store in your district. And that grocery store is our grocery store at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. High School that actually has groceries in that grocery store and fresh vegetables and fruits and cookbooks to help our parents and students with their healthy meals. So thank you so much, Dr. Hogan. And certainly we are always here to support your district.
Thank you so much, Dr. Towns. And I bring you greetings from the Division of Accountability and Research. Dr. Hogan, we are super excited to be here with you, and we appreciate all that you have shared today, particularly those top 5 for District 5 and the alignment. So thank you there. I want to go into the data. We're going to give a very high-level overview of the data, and we're going to spotlight the schools that make up District 5. So let's begin with attendance. All right. So when you think about our attendance, this data reflects student attendance across the district. We have currently 93.01% attendance rate, which means the majority of our students are attending school consistently. That's a strong foundation that we can build on, and it reflects our commitment from the families and the scholars themselves, and also our school teams. Students have an average of 10.76 total days absent, which gives us insight into where we can strengthen and provide supports. Altogether, our schools have recorded 149,054 total days absent. That's more than just a number. That's lost instructional time and in many cases lost opportunity. So this number does help us understand the scale that we have with students and the target and the resources that we need to engage our families. When we think about discipline, let's take a look at discipline and look at discipline from both frequency and the severity of the incidents that we choose across our schools. This is some insight into the discipline that's being put in place across District 5. We have 760 incidents resolved through ISS, or in-school suspension. Students were allowed to remain in school while addressing behavior issues. So that means we are maintaining continuity with the services of our buildings. ISS accounted for 21.23% of all discipline resolutions, which shows that our schools are using in-building options. Maybe nearly 1 in 5 incidents. That's what the data shows us. There are incidents for ISS that totals, there are about 597 individual students, reminding us that students benefit from redirection without being just totally removed from the instructional environment. Moving on to out-of-school suspension. When we think about out-of-school suspension and we look at the data, we had 2,287 incidents resolved this way. OSS is typically used for more serious or repeated behaviors. While it can be necessary, we maintain the fact that we do everything that we can to make sure our scholars are in school. Out-of-school suspension made up 63.9% of all resolutions. So some incidents are repeated offenses, while some students only require 1 or more interventions. 92 students were involved, and the students that were involved in the incidents suspended from the bus. That's a small number when you think about the bus suspensions, but that's an important category because it can intersect with access and being able to get to and from school. The bus suspensions made up again 2.7% of the total discipline resolutions, and that affected 82 unique students. We also have 440 incidents categorized as other codes, which includes behavior contracts, restorative circles, and other school level interventions that don't remove students from our learning environments. In total, District 5 recorded 3,000 in total District 5 recorded 3,579 discipline resolutions that involved 2,367 individual scholars. What that tells us is that while we're addressing behavior issues, students are receiving support through varied and increasingly and great methods from our restorative practices and such things that wraparound services has mentioned. This data helps us to know where we are and how we need to shift. When we think about the spring map data and we look at the behavior supports and academic outcomes, let's think a little bit about the data that's in front of us. The slide breaks down students' reading performance into achievement quintiles, and that's based on national percentiles. So it allows us to see not only who is growing, but where our students are positioned compared to their peers nationwide. So starting at the bottom, 39.07% of students, or 3,144 students in total, are performing in the lowest achievement band, which is the 20th percentile nationally. 21.46% of our scholars, or 1,727 scholars, are in the low average range, scoring between the 21st and the 40th percentile. Altogether, 60.53% of students, or 4,871 total, are performing below the 41st percentile, which gives us a clear and compelling case for doubling down on our foundation and literacy across all grade levels. Moving into the middle, 18.63% of students, about 1,499, fall into the average range between the 41st and the 60th percentile, and 13.63%, or 1,097 students, fall into the high average range, scoring between the 61st and the 80th percentile. And 7.22% of our students, or 581 in total, are performing in the highest achievement band, which is the 80th percentile nationally. Together, the top two groups make up 20.85% of our student population in reading, and that's 1,678 scholars who are meeting or exceeding those expectations. Thank you, Dr. Broughton. The next slide breaks down students across grades K through 10 performance in mathematics on national percentiles as relates to math. Starting at the bottom, all right, 48.83% of our students, starting at the bottom, 48.83% of our students, or 3,615.
Dr. Alexander, this slide's not appearing for some reason.
Okay, very good. I will catch up with you and go to reading. Reading for grades K-10. Proficiency in grades 3-8. Let's look at this slide. So when we start at the bottom of the slide, and this slide displays projected levels in reading for students in grades 3 through 8 based on the MAP data aligned to Georgia Milestones performance bands. These projections provide some forecast of where students may land in reference to the Milestones assessment. Starting at the bottom, 52.88% of students, or 2,314 scholars, are projected to score at the beginning level. 30.30% of students, or 1,326 students in total, are expected to perform in a developing learner level, and combined, this is 83.18% of students, or 3,640 in total, currently performing below grade level in reading. 14.19%, or 621 total, are projected to achieve at the proficient level, and 22.63% of the students, or 115 in total, are projected to reach the distinguished learner level. These are some projections, and when you combine them, you see the 16.82% of scholars, or 736 scholars, projected to perform at the proficiency or distinguished level. On the next slide, for mathematics, this slide does display the mathematics data. Starting at the bottom of the slide, 54.99% of students, or 2,412 total, are projected to score at the beginning level. 35.39% of students, or 1,552 total, are expected to perform in a developing learner band. Together, these two categories make up 90.38% of scholars, 3,964 total, who are currently performing below grade level in mathematics. That reminds us of our top priorities and links back to our strategic goals. When we look at the next piece of data, we have 8.16% of our scholars, or 358 total students, projected to perform at the projected proficient level, and 1.46% of students, or 64 in total, are projected to reach the distinguished learner level. In total, combined, you have 9.62% of students, or 422 total, projected to score at the proficient or developed or distinguished level. And this points to a clear call to action to deepen the mathematics instruction, align curriculum with standards, and continue supporting our educators with the tools that they need to push our scholars forward. When we move to the next slide and we think about where we are in our district, and we are in the state of Georgia, we're talking about assessments. When we close out any year, team, assessment becomes very critical. It's a critical window to looking into how our students are actually doing and how we as a system, how we're performing to support our scholars. We don't just see the test scores. We see opportunities to sharpen our instruction, to close gaps, and celebrate resilience. That's why this moment in time is not just about preparing students or making sure they're prepared to take the test. It's about positioning our district to listen and respond to what the data reveals. And Dr. Horton and our board members have championed that. Dr. Horton has us in our miracles presentations, making sure we have a systematic approach to address the data that is in front of us. When we think about our assessments and we look at what has been offered, we're currently administering our milestones now, and we know that there are upcoming assessments, and we have a calendar planned, and the milestones are happening now. So we're reinforcing and making sure that we see for our set up for our scholars the best environment possible. The schedule is published on our website and accessible through this presentation. On the next slide, this slide might look like a checklist, but I want to emphasize that these are not just small things. Getting a good night's rest, arriving to school on time, approaching each and every question with confidence, these are just some tips. They are ways to help our students have good access and opportunity when they take the test and get engaged. Every student deserves a fair shot, not just passing of a test, but at the beginning of it all, in preparation, we're believing in our scholars. We believe in the preparation that we've done, and that belief helps our students to be confident. Teachers are doing their part. In the classrooms, we're supporting, and we're asking that our families continue to partner with us and support and encourage our scholars. We're going to continue to tell our students we believe in them and that energy does matter. We have resources that we've provided throughout the year. That's on the next slide. And I want to lift up that the resources are for our scholars. So they can practice using the digital tools, review those questions, and feel what it feels like online environment. So it's not new for our students for the first time as we're engaged. Please take time to look at all the resources that DeKalb County School District offers, because we offer so many. And this is one of the best ways to reduce anxiety and increase comfort for our scholars. When you look at the last slide, we're preparing each and every day to make sure that our scholars are confident and that our teachers are ready to roll. So there's the Georgia Online Experience, there's Georgia Learns. We have lots and lots of resources in place, so please take advantage of those resources. And if we can serve as a better resource, let us know, ask the questions, we're ready for them. And we can learn how to help our scholars together, because we believe in growth and opportunity and access. Thank you so very much, Dr. Hogan, Dr. Horton, as we close out from assessment and accountability, assessment, research, and accountability.
Thank you, Dr. Alexander. At this point, we're going to just take a few questions because I'm looking at the time. So I know we're running low on time, but I just wanted to take a few questions from the thought exchange. So our first question actually is going to go to Chief Palmer. The question is, could resource officers help direct traffic after school at Arabia Mountain High School? And this is coming directly from the thought exchange.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Arrington. And that question is simple. Yes, they can. That's one of the reasons why Chief Whaley ensured that there was 2 SROs that will be present at Arabia Mountain. So the expectation is that one of the SROs be present to assist in that area.
Great. The next question is going to go out for Chief Stepney. What are we doing to enhance the learning and technology needed for advancement in high school, and what can be done to provide hands-on life skills?
So, Ms. Arrington, I answered that in the presentation.
Yes,
but
I didn't know if you had anything else additional you wanted to add to that.
No, ma'am.
Okay. The next question then is for Mr. Brown for operations. It says, when will Stoneview Elementary get the security vestibules that they need?
All right. Good evening, and thank you for that question. As it relates to the vestibule project, that project is expected to begin, it's going through the planning phase right now, and is expected to begin construction in November of this year.
Okay, great. So November. And then actually, let me just ask you one other question, Mr. Brown, too. It says that the AC does not work at Stoneview Elementary. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Or if other schools in the area are having problems or same issues?
Okay, so the schools within District 5 that we've identified that have documented HVAC issues are Stoneview Elementary, Chapel Hill Elementary, MLK, Farrington Elementary, Salem Middle, and Narvie Harris in their gym, right? And as it relates to your initial question regarding Stoneview Elementary's HVAC, so we're working right now on the project that we're expecting to begin this summer to replace both the roof and the HVAC at Stoneview.
Great, thank you. I see it's 7 o'clock. So any questions, and I see that there's a few questions in the Q&A box. So what we'll do is I will make sure that each chief that the question is directed to answers the question, and we will put it up on the website along with this recording so that everyone has an opportunity to get the feedback and the response to the questions that they've posted in the Q&A session. So we thank you for that. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hogan, who will do our final closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Arrington, Dr. Arrington. Thank you, everyone. I cannot say enough about the presentations. Dr. Horton, thank you for having your wonderful team, knowledgeable team here to present to our District 5 community this evening. I learned more information myself, and I'm just like, wow, we do have a lot of things going on, great things going on in District 5. Of course, you saw some of the data, and I know that there are some opportunities for growth, as always, and opportunities for you as the community to get engaged with what's going on in schools and supporting our school communities. That's really important to me, is that we cannot do this work alone. So hopefully everyone will find a way to get engaged, whether you have students in school or you don't. But there are different ways that everyone can engage in our school community, because we're in this together and we all have to support our kids. So let me first of all, again, thank Dr. Horton and his wonderful team. I also thank my fellow colleagues who are here with us this evening. Thank you for joining and supporting me, as well as all of our dedicated community members that I know that you are here in support of me, as well as our parents, our students, our faculty and staff of the District 5 community. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you for your questions. And as I said, they will get back to you in terms of the questions that you have asked. You have my email as well. So again, there may be some questions I can't ask yet, but I can direct you, I'll make sure that your questions get to the right personnel who can respond. But again, thank you for coming out this evening. This is just the first one. So if we did not cover something that you wanted addressed, remember, this is month 4 for me, so I'm just getting started. So I look forward to engaging with you further as we support our schools and our staff members who serve our schools. We are here for them and here to support them as they support our students. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. And Dr. Horton, if you're here, did you want to say any additional words before we're finished and everybody can be dismissed? But thank you again.
No, I think you summed it up pretty well. Thank you all. Good night. We will be seeing you. All right.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.